Hello everyone, I'm Siddharthan. In this video, let's understand how we can clone a GitHub repository to our local machine and understand the basic commands such as git add, git push, git commit, and so on. So this will be the agenda for today's video, and let's get started. So in my previous videos, I have mentioned how you can create a new repository, how you can create a branch and so on. So I hope that you are clear with those aspects. If not, you can watch the previous videos as well. I'll give the link of that playlist in this video description. You can check that out. So with that being said, let's understand this basic commands that I was talking about. So let's say that you have a repository and then you have a main branch and development branch. And let's say that we want to clone the main branch to our local machine. So for that, you can open a folder where you want to save this. So let's say that I have this folder in desktop called as GitHub repos. So I'll open this, right click here and open my terminal. So make sure that you have connected your local machine with that particular GitHub account using SSH. So I've already made a video on that and I'll give the link for that video in this video description too. So this basically establishes the connection between your local machine and the GitHub account. So you need this SSH thing, Git and all these things installed for that. So let's assume that you have completed all those steps and now you can clone it. So type in git clone and open your repository in your browser. Go to this code and copy this SSH. So you have this HTTPS which kind of uses your username, password and other things, but SSH doesn't require your passwords, usernames and so on. So it just requires a passphrase that you would create in setting up this SSH. So go to this SSH, copy this thing and paste it over here. So it says git clone git github.com username and so on. So if you want to clone the development branch, you would say git clone space -b space dev. So that's how you can do this. Maybe I can show you. So instead of cloning the main branch, so when you use git clone, it will clone the default branch, which is main. But for development branch, you can say dev. So -b dev, the name of the branch. If you have created a different branch, you can mention that name as well. So anything of your choice. So once that's done, press enter. So this git clone is basically to create a copy in your local machine. So I'll paste this thing. So this is the first command, which is git clone. So this creates a copy in your local machine, so you can work on that and push that code later to your GitHub repository. Okay, so this is the first command. Now I'll close this terminal and let's say that we are working on some file. So let's say that I'll create a new file, test document, and say that basic, git commands. So here maybe I'll just put some basic commands like git clone, uh, git add, let's say git status, git commit, and finally let's say we have this git push origin main or something, and maybe I can add this git branch as well. Let's say that these are the basic commands that we are going to understand, but what I'm doing is like just creating a new file which is basic git commands, which is a text document, but this document is not there in our repository, in our central repository in the browser that we are seeing here in GitHub, but it's in our local machine. So now we have to, let's say, push this. So for that, open the folder that you have kind of clone. So once you clone this in this GitHub repos, you will see the name of the repository. So it says sample GitHub repo, right? So a folder with the same name will be created here. So open this, you can see there is a hidden folder here, right? So that kind of has those git credentials, the details of basically the repository and so on. So the details of the repository, not the credential, but the details of the repository is here. So now again, click on right click here, open in terminal. So let's look at the command git branch. So this would tell you what's the branch that you're currently in. It says main because I've cloned the main branch here, right? So it says main, and now I can say git space add space dot. So this is going to add all the changes which we are going to push, right? So it says git add dot means like all the changes. Here we have created a file called as basic git commands, and then we have typed in some things, right? So this is one way of passing all the changes to the repository. There is also another way. Just mention basic git commands. So just say git add space basic git commands dot txt file name. So this is going to upload only that file that you are mentioning. So these are the two ways. Either you can add all the changes that you have done, or you can just add specific changes there. So those are the two options. So here I'll say git add space dot. I'll give enter here. Now if you want to make sure that all the changes has been properly considered, you can just type in git status. Okay, so this would just like give you, this is the new file that you have created, and it says like basic git commands.txt because this is the file that we have created. So this is the step. So now the next step is we have to commit this changes here. Commit is nothing but we create a message saying what is the change that we have done. So I'll say git commit -m and say, something like basic git commands and so on. So this message will be displayed in our repository and giving like all the details on what's the commit that we have done. I'll press enter. So this changes will be done, and finally you can say git push origin main because we are making this change in the main branch. So these are the important commands that we are going to discuss today. So I'll press enter and it will ask me password. So I'll just say my password here and press enter. So I've typed it here and pressed enter, and all these changes will be propagated to our repository. So the commands that we have discussed are, first is the git clone command that clones your repository to your local machine, and then you have git branch that gives the name of your branch, and then you have this git add dot which adds all the changes, and then you have this git status which is going to give you the changes that you have made, and then git commit for the message and git push origin main and so on. So these are the things that we have. Okay, so there is another command that I want to tell you. So let's say that there are multiple people who are using this particular repository. So maybe I'll just refresh this and I'll show you this change of basic git commands. Now you can see this basic git commands has been added 1 minute ago. So let's say that several people are using this, let's say, repository, and they have made some change. You need to import that change to your machine as well. Let's say that the user has open this local file.txt, and let's say they are edited this file. So here I'm directly editing this in the browser. So I'll just say test local file 2.0 or something. So I'm just adding this 2.0 here, commit changes, update local file, give the commit changes here, and then we have this main branch that has this particular change. Okay, so now what happens is our local machine repository doesn't have this change, right? So someone has changed it, but we don't have that. In order to import that, what you can do is again open your git folder, not this folder but the final git folder that we are seeing over here, sample github repo. Right click here, open the terminal, and here you have to say git pull origin main because we are currently in main. Because if you don't do this and instead you, let's say now you make a change, and when you try to push, that particular push won't happen because this would result in a conflict and say that your version of the repository is not up to date because we have not pulled in all the changes. So for that, first we need to pull all the changes that someone else has made, and if there are no conflicts, this would directly pull this. If there are some conflicts, you need to like let's say talk with that person, identify what are the conflicts that you are getting, you have to resolve that. But for now this is a simple change, so this won't create any conflicts. So say git pull origin main. So this is basically to import all the latest changes that happened here to this repository, to your local machine's repository. So I'll run this and enter your passphrase. So this we would have created in our SSH step. So I've pressed enter and it says local file.txt, some changes has been made. So one insertion and one deletion has been made. Now I'll close this and now I can open my file, which is local file.txt. So it says local test local file 2.0, which is the change that we have made. So this is how you can do these aspects. So these are the basic git commands that we have discussed. So we have this maybe I'll open this. So we have git clone, which is to copy your repository in your local machine, git branch to identify the name of the branch, git add to add all the changes, git status to see what are all the changes that you have made, git commit to just give a message of what's the commit that you have, and finally we have this git push origin main that push your changes to the GitHub repository. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear until this part, and I think that this is helpful to you. I'll see you in the next upload. Thanks for watching.